Twitless, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Light Brigade by Peter J. Tomasi and Peter Snejbjerg. I'm probably butchering that, and Bjorn Hansen. And this is a comic about set during World War II, and an American unit in Belgium during the winter is doing some kind of routine grunt work in the trenches. Um, and when suddenly their unit is attacked by a horde of Nazi zombies, and this unit gets caught up in a battle that is supernatural and has cosmic i- implications with warring angels and implications of a the world. With the world being at stake, all while framed against, I think, a character named Chris, who has no faith in any of these things at all, who has just lost the love of his life and has no belief in higher powers, and suddenly has to confront angels wielding heavenly swords and spears. That's Light Brigade Part One.
I had so much fun with this. It just this this story, this comic, Light Brigade, just believes in itself, doesn't apologize, doesn't try to subvert itself with humor to lighten the impact. It feels as gritty as World War II stories often need to be. It enjoys that as a genre, and it enjoys interjecting that, hybridizing that genre with another, uh, you know, well-trodden genre of kind of like fallen angel kind of Enochic kind of storycraft stuff, war in heaven type things, and I think it marries these two things well. I mean, it's well known that like oftentimes the best successes are really just giving you two flavors, two genres that you already know that you like, and giving them to you together and surprising you with how they can actually pair well. And I think that's the pitch for Light Brigade is here's two things that you already think are fun, but you've never seen them together quite like this. Like what if the fallen angels of the Nazis were working together in some capacity? Plus undead zombie Nephilim question mark. So it's a lot of fun.
Let's take a brief pause to hear from the awesome creators joining us today and find out what cool projects they're currently working on.
Hey guys, if you love sword and sandal historical fiction with a healthy dose of ancient Roman and Egyptian fantasy mixed in, then check out Kyrie. We've got 450 pages printed so far, a fourth book on the way. Order your books today at curiecomic.com.
Modern day classic superhero storytelling. Get The Adventures of Omega Girl issues 1 through 5 now on Indie Planet.
Thank you to our awesome creators, and now back to the video. Yeah, and it mined a lot of theology to establish its lore. So I did enjoy that part where the Nephilim are having babies with mankind, and that's the reason for Noah's Ark. He has to wipe out this race of you know of bastards that he does not condone their existence. So um yeah, there were a lot of interesting aspects there. What I particularly unliked or enjoyed in this first chapter is that it marinated in the World War II setting, and it really took its time to establish that atmosphere. There was banter between the troops. There were a few little aside stories that would happen to give you kind of a full characterization and feel for the soldiers' experience during that conflict. So the book didn't necessarily just jump headlong into the main plot. And
Yeah, there's a part where they go hunting for deer and they actually catch something.
exactly.
Yeah,
So, seeing those moments, those more intimate settings, gave you a bit more of something more tangible, give you some texture to these soldiers, which quite often in these stories are just thrown into the meat grinder and are fodder for a lot of action and excitement, and a way to kind of just carry you over into the main story plot of the more interesting characters, these fallen angels. But here, the soldiers actually felt like real people in this experience, and particularly in this setting, given that we want to have a story told in the environment of World War II.
Yeah, like, normally, I think a lesser team, someone with less, skill behind them than Peter Tomasi would jump straight to the supernatural stuff, thinking that that's really how you're gonna sell the story, that's how you're gonna hook an audience, and it actually I think it's a subtler skill, but it's much more rewarding to invest at the human level with these, like, peer to peer, just kind of, uh, band of brothers kind of moments. Those superhuman little moments of this is the guy who likes reading comics. This is the guy who's who's thinking about his lady back home. This is the guy who's seen a bit too much and he should probably be sent home. You know, like and actually selling you on those human moments, those really material personalist kind of uh, exchanges, so that you can build on top of that and you can go really far. You can go really high with the crazy supernatural stuff. Uh, but because you have that strong foundation of like thinking, these characters actually really eminently relatable on a really you can empathize with these guys, and then you can see them go do cool stuff, and you can go see them, meet angels and demons and zombies and you know other things. So it's nice when they take their time. I feel like this is actually doing this is serving the story at a higher order, but it has to be done well. You can't bore people. You're gonna have to do the little hunt a deer for 4 pages. You're gonna have to do that well, and they do it well.
Yeah. Well, and I think actually using the art as an effective tool here as well to do that. A lot of the a lot of the moments in the beginning where it's the World War II settings, they're reserved, they're muted, and they're more focused on the soldiers. There's a lot more close-up shots. There aren't any big elaborate splash pages. It takes its time with the setting, and it's serene. And then you get into the more glamorous imagery once the angels are introduced, and the zombie Nazis, and things get very bright and vivid, and artistic and engaging at that moment. So definitely, the art helps carry that mood and that tone that the writing establishes. So that was really appreciated. That the artist was showing his deftness to be able to pivot from one tone to the next. But it was all done in service of the story, and it's to his credit that he accomplished that feat.
Although, all memes aside, it's interesting how the there's a little mini subversion against the imagery of Nazi zombies is a very powerful one. Mixing occult with Nazism is it's become its own myth that in pop culture at this point. That people love to channel, whether it's Hellboy or Wolfenstein or whatever. But here they, what I appreciate is Tomasi plays with it, but doesn't lean too heavily into it because when confronted uh, with the whole "Hey, oh, you Nazis," the leader, who's a Grigori, which is the original angels were called the Grigori, and their children were the Nephilim.
Mm.
And the Grigori, the kind of fallen angel type character, says, "Oh, you think we're Nazis?" And then he ends up killing his own German soldiers. Um, and then I think I don't know if he reanimates them or something and turns them into zombies or whatever. But the Germans are actually portrayed as victims a little in a greater cosmic conflict. And then when the angel Sariel kind of explains the nature of the conflict, the evil of the angels is kind of blamed for even some elements going on in World War II, because it said that the mission of the Grigori and the Nephilim is to undermine faith in God by causing death and atrocity, which leads to a lack of faith and more chaos and destruction. And so there's this implication that some of what is going on behind the scenes in World War II is in fact from superior demonic forces, and that there's some Germany is not only just the embodiment of those forces, but is in fact partly a victim of them, which is a nice little nuance to cast. It's the type of nuance that
It
people
is.
during World War II, people who came home from World War II had that nuanced thinking towards
Right.
towards Germany when they wrote their comics. It wasn't all just every person who fought for Germany was automatically, a demon, right? There was the was like Kanigher's Blitzkrieg series, which actually portrays a German unit, and it walks a nuanced line with those characters, while still trying to acknowledge the atrocities. And so, what I think is interesting about Light Brigade is that Tomasi is actually, he's wielding some of the external aesthetics that people love to see from, World War II imagery and like I said, the Nazi zombie. But then he's also toying with that a little bit with some nuance when you have the evil guy, like I said, kill his own men, and showing some of the Germans as being, like I said, victims as well, which I think is that's to me Tomasi showing his deftness as a writer, is the fact that he's able to approach this with some level of intelligence.
So, guys, final thoughts. Matsy, what did you think of Light Brigade Chapter 1?
Yeah, I just really appreciated the skill that it takes to tell a story at this particular pace, which is a little on the slow side, even for a trade paperback. To do that and have it be just super cozy and comfortable for a World War II war story, just to be where you just enjoying the banter, which is what most, particularly of this first issue. There's a ton of that like trench level, uh, buddy exchange type conversations, and then to build that up by the end into cosmic, angel versus fallen angel forces and swords from heaven being stolen, and Grigori and Nephilim, uh, you know, undead Nazis and that sort of thing, to build up from just the stuff that you know and love about really realistic kind of fun wartime drama, and then build up from there into something this fantastical, and to believe it's and to not take the piss, so to speak, as you combine those genres, to not kind of do it slant or to wink at the audience and say, this part you don't have to take seriously because we're really here for this other part. To do them both and to do them both sincerely is it's a really fun, entertaining experience. So highly recommend Light Brigade.
Twitless.
I'm struck by this book because of how different it is. I don't think I've ever read anything quite like it. And that's in a good way. And there's something remarkable just about the fact that Tomasi's approach to supernatural warfare is a refreshing take. We're currently also reading Nameless, which is a very almost a mirror inversion of this, which also deals with spiritual themes of a war in heaven. Matt and I have read a lot of works. Almost, I not even planned it this way, but the war in heaven seems to be a recurring motif. But and it's interesting to see different takes on that idea. But it's something that's obviously in consciousness. But Light Brigade's take on it, I think, is very refreshing, because you get so many takes on it. Where I think the most common take on the war in heaven is something like you might see in like Scud the Disposable Assassin, where it just undermines the concept of God, and it's time for the time of gods to either go away, or God's imprisoned, and these other forces are superior to him in some fashion, or the story ends up being about the overthrow of God because humanity needs to take over. stories like that. It's the most common thing we see in, I would say, in comics, really, even. And so the fact that Light Brigade seems to be doing such a sincere take on the war in heaven is just different. It's just like, oh wow, you could do this, and the fact that it's handled in a way that's not cloying or saccharine. It's just handled like it's handled really well, at least in this early installment, setting it up the war in heaven. So I just very impressed by it, and very, like I said, very different work. Highly recommend.
Thank you very much for checking out the video. Subscribe, like, and stay tuned for more.